Okay, got Fusion 360 loaded. Hopefully the stream health stays good. Let's get my chat back on the top here. Boop. All right, good morning. Yes, I just woke up. Haven't had my shower yet. But more cat. I printed a new revision of the Bondtech bracket last night, but of course it's wrong. But it's better, but it's still wrong. So that's the fan duct. Whoops. So far, it's printing right now, but we need to go back to this guy. And let's turn on that, turn on that, turn on that so we can see it. Oh, got my timeline squinched down here. Okay. So what I've done is I added these little wing walls. As my earlier bracket was kind of wobbly here, so the nozzle would deflect and move around. And I want to make sure they're touching each other. And positioning it seems good. So I had to move the where these two mounting holes are to the back edge of the motor. The motor was 2 millimeters back too far. So I had to move that. And then I had to move the holes out to the left here 5 millimeters, because what I want to do is use the polycarbonate little clip-on shroud that E3D sends with the E3D V6 as my cooling fan for the hot end, and I'm going to use the stock ADIMLab fan, the 40 millimeter fan, as my part cooling fan. But this hole is offset. It needs to move to the right about 2 millimeters, and I need to open up. So I straight edged these walls here originally. Once I moved it, it was just curling around. Well, I made it a straight cutout, but it actually needs to be an angled cutout because the little polycarbonate shroud is tapered. So got to rework the inside of this cutout. So first let's move it, and that is done right here. And let me go, no, that's not done right there. That's the wrong sketch. It's the second sketch. So I want to move it 2 millimeters more towards the front, and hopefully that does not move anybody else. And then I'm going to make it 2 millimeters bigger. And I don't know about just making those straight. I should probably do a line. Well, while we got that line, let's do a line from here out and make it 90 minus 15. No, not that much. 10. No. 5. Oops. 5. That looks about right. So 85 degrees. We'll do another one. Now that's only given me a millimeter. Oh, let's make this another 29. There we go. So we'll make that a little bit bigger, and then we're going to extend this line to there. So we can trim off our extra bits. And we can delete this guy. And I hope that's all the, that should be all the things we need to do. All right. Put that back. Yeah, and things have all blown up. So now the way I take care of this is we roll back to, well, I know the body there, that's just the mounting plate. Second body is the wall, the fan mount. Then there's the sketch that we just worked on. Then that extrusion. Well, these chamfers, that chamfer we can get rid of right now. And this is what is blown up. So we want not that, not that, not that, not that hole, and not that hole. Whoops. Let's try that again. Let's select the reverse of that. Say okay. There we go. I see a problem down here. Okay, well maybe it's fixed later on. Nope. There it is. All right, and then we add, that's just bringing in the E3D mount. New sketch. That's the holes. Oops, that's one hole. That's the other mounting hole for the fan shroud. New sketch. That is the wing wall. Yep. And then this is the other wing wall. Okay, now we can do our fancy bits, which what I was doing was putting on a chamfer. Make sure we're on the right part. Modify the chamfer. Can't really do a 3mm chamfer because that cuts into our mounting hole. About a 2mm. You can probably get away with that. Let's do, I wonder what would happen if I do this. Oh. Whoops. Well, that's not so bad. It's just to get the most airflow so we're not blocked, because some of the fins sit up in here, but we're far enough away. I think I'll do that. That won't cut into the threaded part here. Should be strong enough. Okay. So that is our mount. The last few changes, hopefully. This, adding these little wing walls, stiffened it up quite a bit. Everything else looks really, really good on the last printout. So it takes about 2.5 hours to print this guy out. So once that's done, should have a Bondtech mount, and we can go to town actually putting it back together and trying to get it to print. I hope. So, all right. Nobody's in the stream, but that's how I do stuff. And yeah, usually stuff blows apart and you have to go back and fix it, because I'm not great at pre-planning what I have to do in Fusion 360. So I usually just start a bunch of sketches and muddle my way through. But you can see that I was able to repair the part and get it okay to print, and changes weren't too shabby. If I was a little more organized, I would dimension stuff from the same side and make relative dimensions and things like, turn that on. Now that's out of position. But we can move that. Say okay. Boop. All right, so now you can see how the hot end's going to sit in there. And yeah, that's what the chamfer was for, was to just get a little more airflow around those top fins. The top fins should not get that hot. So we'll see. We'll print this out and get her going, and then we can turn this back on. Let's turn this side back on. Well, wish I could hide those other pieces. Maybe I can. Turn off the single parts. There you go. So now you can see, of course, the fan duct will set out in line with the holes. This is just to show how it goes. May have to trim that off, but I'll probably just trim that off with a X-Acto knife. But you can vary the angle of this, and it gives you a nice, really directed flow, and you can go in with an X-Acto knife. I made this opening 1 millimeter, but we can go back and change that if we need to open it up some more. I tested it last night with a little fan, and it seems to work really well. It gives you a nice flat blade of air that you can direct just below the nozzle, you know, right in that area. And when I used it on the Zone Star, it works really, really well. Yes, it doesn't cool the backside perfectly, but you got to remember, this is going to be on this gargantuan printer. and you're going to be printing with a large nozzle, so I'd like nice quality, but it doesn't have to be perfect. And if you wanted to design a newer wraparound or use a different fan, at least you got the mount. You can mount whatever you want out here at the front, and you could move the holes down if you wanted to, mount it in a different spot, build yourself a wraparound nozzle thing, adapt it to however you want. So my design goals for this is to kind of use as much of the stock hardware as possible. Use all the pieces that E3D sends with the thing. Don't have to modify the Bondtech. The only other thing that I will have to modify is my little this little piece over here, this filament detector bracket. But I have to wait till I get all of this done and get the thing mounted. So there's this little box back here clips onto the cable chain mount, and then this little flag up here holds the filament detector, and so this is going to have to get taller and move slightly in position a little bit, not very much, but move just a little bit. But we'll make those changes when we get the Bondtech all mounted up and get the position finalized, because this will be a fairly simple change, I hope. We'll see how it goes. Alright, I got to go back and save my bodies. Go back in here. Come on. Bondtech mount. Make sure, yeah, we got it all. Save it in there. Yes. Go back in here to slicer. And open that up and slice. Now it's still the same settings that I had before. And I'm only doing, I think, 30%. I've got build on the platform, but there's nothing to support. Yeah. Okay, export the G code. Put it out there. Okay, once the fan duct's done printing, we'll get this guy going. Hopefully this will be the last one. I didn't show you the revisions. I don't know what I think this is version 7. So I don't know that I've printed it 7 times. I've printed it at least 5 though, because my first one was just way too flimsy and I didn't even have this front part for mounting the fan duct or anything. Just was a mock-up to see if everything would fit. Oh, and I forgot to mention, let's go back to Fusion. So let's turn that off and that off. So the reason for the 5mm shift over here of moving the motor to the left was because I wanted to use that fan and the frame, the X carriage where this is. So I wanted to use the polycarbonate shroud and the fan that E3D supplies, and there's a cutout in the frame and need that to clear. So I may have to come back in here one more time and shift this over even a little bit more. But we'll have to print it out and see that I got everything else right. And the 2mm shift, moving it forward, was so that this, my original one had it in the right position for where the original extruder was, but the Bondtech sticks back a little further and it was hitting one of the wheels. So I had to move it a little bit further forward. But all that positioning stuff's fixable in firmware. So we'll see you next time.